Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen, and good fellows around the world. Welcome to this week's episode of The Contented Narrative. We are looking at The Lost Bookshop by Evie Woods. And this was such a good book. And you know how I feel about bookshops and libraries being in books, and you know how I feel about, I love it. So basically the premise is you've got three stories that are being told. You've got Opaline, Martha, and Henry. Okay, so Opaline is like the main character. She's like the beginning of this story essentially, and then you've got Martha, who is escaping an abusive home, and stumbles into this job where it's like, okay, I need a housekeeper. So she ends up moving into this house and becomes a housekeeper in this house. And then you've got Henry, who's searching for this lost bookshop that he stumbled into once many years ago, and now he's trying to find it again because he knows it exists and he's obsessed with finding lost things, like lost manuscripts and stuff like that. But then Opaline's story is just so good. So it's set sort of like World War One, I believe. I say I believe, honestly. I should... Let me just double check that, guys, because, let me just bring this forward. World War Two, apologies. It's set between World War One and World War Two. So I was kind of right. So it was just after World War One. And Opaline, she is about to be married off. Her brother's about to marry her off for the good of the family. And she decides, nope, not having none of this, and she runs off. And she runs off to Paris and she meets someone, and then the brother comes and finds her again. She runs off again. Then, she ends up in Dublin, and she takes over this shop. And this is sort of like, we know that that's going to become the Lost Bookshop. And then her brother finds her again. She gives birth. Like, there's her story. Like, I loved Martha's story, I loved Henry's story, I loved the conclusions of their stories, but Opaline's story, the thread through the book, just kept me hooked, because it also fueled, like, an anger inside of me, because the fact that, like, her brother was just like, no, I'm marrying you off, and she had, like, no say, and then she runs off and changes her identity, and then, because he is the older brother, she is deemed his property to do with what he wants. So he can then go and take her back and put her wherever he needs her to be. And it's bits like that where I'm just like, how dare you? And like, my rage was just bubbling over. I was just like, how dare you do this to my Opaline? And so the characters were so well written. So well written. And honestly, the conclusions of every one of their stories will leave you so satisfied, because it's literally like Opaline's the beginning. She's the one that set up the Lost Bookshop. You've got Henry searching for the Lost Bookshop, who meets Martha. You've got Martha, who's running from an abusive relationship, and that conclusion is so good. And honestly, every single time I was like, I remember putting this on my Amazon wishlist and genuinely being like, do you know what? I love a good Lost Bookshop, and but it was so much more than I expected, and I thoroughly enjoyed every single page. And honestly, it's just like the little twists and turns that happen, and every time the brother catches up to Opaline, I honestly, I can almost hear you guys being like, are you kidding me? Because the way that he acts, the way that he finds her, it's just, it infuriates me. So I know it's going to infuriate you guys. But I would 100% recommend this book because I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's probably my best book of 2025, to be perfectly honest. It just left me with such a lovely feeling of contentment at the end of it. The storyline was great. The way that the stories interacted with each other, considering that, Henry and Martha in the 21st century and Opaline's in the 1920s, like going over a period of time. And honestly, I adored it. I adored it. And I would just say, please, if you guys read it and love it as much as I do, leave it below in the comments. I love seeing your comments, guys. I love responding to your comments. I love that when you like my videos, I like that you share them with other people. I like that, even if I can get you to just read one book, do you know what I mean? Just that will make me feel so happy. So thank you so much for your continued support. Go out and read this. And remember to always keep it contented.